Welcome to the Insightfulbabes podcast. We have created a new community for all the hustlers, dreamers, outsiders, and visionaries out there coming from Hispanic traditional beliefs. We've decided to share our entrepreneurship journey, our ups and downs, and hope to inspire, empower, and help others who are not being themselves because of fear or traditional beliefs. So welcome back to the Insightful Babe podcast. ¿Cómo están, chavas?
Súper bien, y súper emocionada because we have a special guest with us today. And here with us we have Zair Montes. ¿Cómo estás, Zair?
Happy, excited, and feliz de estar con ustedes here. So thank you guys.
Qué bueno. Zair, go ahead and tell the audience who you are and what it is that you do.
Well, I'm an actress, first of all, and I also I'm a producer. I'm also a producer. I have my production company that I created around 7 years ago here in the States with my partner. And we produce a lot of content for the American market, but also including Latino elements and, Latinos in there because, half of our company is formed by Latinos and, so I'm a producer, and recently I became a writer as well. I've been writing a few things, and I wrote 2 years ago. It was a theater play initially that we turned into a series, and that series is now available on Amazon Prime.
Yes. And I'm really excited to talk about those series because I've seen it already and I honestly love the show. So I can't wait for a second season, but we'll go ahead and talk about that later on. Okay, you said you were an actress. Me gustaría escuchar tu historia. ¿Cómo empezó eso de el querer actuar? ¿Es tu pasión? ¿Y cómo empezó todo eso?
Sí, es mi pasión. I think it's always been my passion, acting. Since I was a kid, I wanted to pursue that. I was born and raised in Venezuela, so I had the opportunity to start my career as an actress in Venezuela. Down there in Latin America, as you might know, we do a lot of soap operas. So I was involved in many soap operas in Venezuela. Then I moved to Colombia. I did the same. I did some movies in between and theater plays, of course. And then it was after I've been like 2 years living in Colombia when I started to feel like I wanted more, like I wanted to do something different and learn more about like acting and the whole like industry. And doing a movie as an actress, I met a group of talented young people that were actors, but they were also producers and or directors. And so I really liked that. I loved the experience, and I got involved into seeing what's inside that world. Because when you're only an actress, many times you're like, not because you don't care, but the system works in a way that you're not involved in any other area of the showbiz, and you don't know a lot of things. So you're oblivious to what's going on the other side of the screen. So that movie gave me the opportunity to get involved into other areas, like just as a witness, I went into post-production and I saw what was really like happening in the editing room. And I was able to share like moments with the production team. So I really got like this, willingness and desire to explore that. And so I started to pursue that, and I joined forces with a couple of those guys, and we created this company. And I moved to the States, and we started like developing, projects from the scratch. And that was like a process in which it's not that I stopped acting, but I focus my work more on learning and producing and being like, a business person and being creative director of a company and what it meant. So that's when I became, so to speak, like this entrepreneur and somebody who, jumped from acting only or mainly to just, produce and write and just taking care of a company. And that's been the process in the last 5 years, I would say.
Wow.
Awesome. What are some challenges you are facing right now, like as a Latina actress, or even just starting as a producer?
Well, I must say that, being a Latina actress has been harder than being a Latina producer. And I think it's because there are so many stereotypes regarding, like, the roles that Latinos are getting in the industry. And in my personal experience, it's been hard to match people's expectations in between the way I look and how I sound when I speak. So it's this contradiction that I cannot, I don't look Latina or Latina enough to be just cast as a Latina, and then I have an accent, so I have problems being cast as something else. So that's been my journey, and it has made me like push for my own projects more, because at the end of the day, like, it's only you, the one who can open opportunities for you and for your people. And that's not to disregard the other routes. And it doesn't mean that I'm not taking those other routes, but I know that I have the power to, to create those opportunities that at first might be hard for somebody else to give them to me.
Yeah, and I love that. I love how, you started off as an actress and then you decided to look more into it as a producer and then a director and then a writer. Like, you were not afraid to go after that, even though that was like something new for you, right?
Yeah, it was, there's always this, when you're like first time doing something. I remember first time I produced, I was super nervous and super scared. Fortunately, I had a great team and a team of people who had the experience, and they helped me a lot. And I felt, I felt I was under their umbrella, and that always helps. But also, at the end of the day, the worst thing that can happen is that you do it so bad that no one hires you again. And that's not like compared to any life or death situations. So you just, like, when I think about it, fortunately, I'm in an industry that is not about saving lives. It's just about, the worst thing you can have is a bad critic or somebody not liking your job or saying you're not talented. Or when you're producing, you have a bigger responsibility because it's about somebody else's money involved in your projects, and then you have to take care of that. But I think, it's only by doing that you learn to do things better. So and you have to take the risk. But again, like, the worst case scenario is never that catastrophic. So you just have to go ahead and trust your team and trust yourself.
Definitely.
Yes. You went ahead and created Golden Seiba. Did I say that right?
Yes.
Okay. So how has your entrepreneurship journey been? Because as an actress, you started off to, look into producing and writing. Where did that idea come from that you decided to just go for it and just say, you know what, I'm going to create my own production team and my own brand? When did all of that start?
It all started like going back to this movie that I did in Colombia only as an actress, and I met my partner in the company in Golden Seiba. He had already been working on this concept for a while, but it wasn't like quite yet established. And it was kind of like an invitation that I accepted at that moment without really knowing what it was going to imply,
Mm-hmm.
and the amount of work that I was gonna have to put in there. Because initially, like to say it very like in a silly manner, like it was like, okay, I'm gonna make my production company, and then I'm gonna be casted by myself, and I'm gonna be acting all the time. I'm not gonna wait for anybody to just give me the opportunities, and it's easy
Yeah.
peasy. But
La
that's not
jefa.
how it works.
Sí.
La jefa.
The jefa. But that's not how it works. So then reality hit, and then you know that you have to put in a lot of work. And when you're starting, you don't have the resources, and you don't have, most of the times you have to do the job. And I thought I was gonna be a producer, like showrunner type of producer, that is just like jefa, mandando de aquí para allá.
Sí.
Sí.
But no, like when you're producing and you're starting and you don't have enough resources, like I found myself doing everything from PA jobs, like, and not because I was a PA, but because I didn't have the money to hire a PA. So I was, serving coffee, and I was just driving the vans, driving the crew or the cast here and there. Like, so I was doing everything. So it's been a journey, but it's been a learning process, and I am grateful for that, because when you are there, you don't see it, and sometimes you want to give up. Many times I said, well, when I was only acting, I wasn't doing any of this. I was just, especially when I was down there in Latin America, I didn't have to pay for hair salon. I didn't have to pay for anything, because, people and brands were inviting me to use their products, or giving me gifts or trips or whatever. So, and then I'm here in the States, doing all these things that you take for granted, and just being on the other side, and understanding sometimes when, like, it makes you think sometimes, like, I was like, okay, when I was only an actress and this guy came, and I was like, whatever, like, I didn't say not even good morning because of whatever reason. And now I'm on this other side, and I'm seeing it from a very different perspective. And I think that you don't see it at that moment, but that has taught me to be a better actress, because I can see now what's going on in and how much work, everybody puts to make something happen, like a movie or a show. It's only the work, it's only like the teamwork that makes it happen. It's not like one person, like The Flowers, for instance. I wrote it, one of the producers, and I'm one of the lead actors. But it could have never happened without the work of every single person that was involved in this project.
Claro, todo en equipo se hace.
Así es.
And it also makes you realize a lot of things like that you like you say, you take for granted. So I feel like it makes you work harder, and then it makes you realize that how bad you want it. Because if you don't really want something, then you're just gonna give up. You'll just be like, oh, you know what, this is too hard. I'll go back to just being an actress. But you're still pushing through, so that shows a lot of guts.
Thank you.
When was it when you began and decided, I'm going to become an entrepreneur and keep on building this production team? Was it when you moved to the United States?
Yeah. Basically, it was like in 2015. A little bit before that, I still hadn't got my paperwork to come to the States, and my partner had already been here, like working and coming back and forth from Colombia, Mexico to the US. And so at that moment, we decided to make a movie that was very important, because it's the first movie I produced. And we decided I wasn't going to be able to be in the States, so we decided to make it in Cuba. And we went to Cuba. This movie was, we shot it in English as well. It has some Spanish on it, and it's more like it's the story of these two brothers are separated. One is raised in Cuba, and the other one is raised in Miami. And then after 20-something years, they reunite. So we went to Cuba, we shot it. This is like, the moment where I technically became a producer. And that was right before moving here. And that's the moment where I just said, well, this is only gonna, keep on growing, and I'm gonna keep on doing these things. The experience was wonderful. Shooting in Cuba was beautiful. La gente en Cuba es como la gente más bella, así,
Me imagino.
amables, o sea, la gente que no tiene nada y te ofrece lo que no tiene. That was the experience. With that movie, we won Montreal Film Festival, and we went to different festivals in the US as well. And that kind of like opened some doors and some recognition for the company. So after that, that brought us to a different project that we did, and somebody else contacted us because they wanted to shoot in Cuba, and we did a third project because of that between Cuba and New York. And then it just started like growing from that point on. So it wasn't really like a moment where I said, oh, now I'm an entrepreneur, or now I'm doing this. It was just like when you don't realize it, and suddenly like you are, dealing with people, raising funds, securing cast, crew, and, and it was like very organic.
Same.
That
I'm
sounds
really,
fun.
yeah, it does. No, and like, I believe so much in like listening to your intuition. Was that something like that for you?
Absolutely. I think intuition is everything. I don't know if it has to do with the fact that, I'm involved in arts, and acting has to do a lot with intuition. But yeah, it has played an important role in my life, like, listening to that voice, and just, even though when things are not rationally good, or when your mind is telling you just stop here, sometimes, and I tend to be rational, but on the other hand, I think this is being built through intuition more than than your mind and your head, because especially in those moments where it's like you can do it, or this is like super hard, or how are you going to make this movie if you don't have this, if you don't have that. And sometimes it's been not only intuition or the decision to be naive and say, no, we'll make it, and then we find a way and make it happen. But when we have been in moments where we think a lot and we put so much like
Overthinking.
Overthinking, then nothing happens. I have been there as well. So I think the more you experience that, the more you learn how to listen to your intuition.
Yeah, no, and I feel that like you have to, if you're afraid, you either do it or do it afraid, porque pues, it's, you just have to believe in yourself. And if you feel, that it's time for you to do it, but you start overthinking, then time passes by y nunca lo vas a hacer, ¿cierto?
Yeah, así es.
Very true.
And it's la pregunta, o sea, ¿qué es lo peor que te puede pasar? What's the worst thing that could happen?
Yeah.
Being broke, like have no money, or like if it's not something attempting your health and or the life of your beloved ones, then actually the risk is not that, like, this is easier to say now after a year of pandemic where we have been able to appreciate more, like the only thing we have is, health. The only thing we cannot take for granted. The rest, I mean, during quarantine, I was living with like only like 5 t-shirts and 2 jeans, and that was it. I didn't need more. So I think that has taught us to, to understand that sometimes we I don't know, we're scared for things that really there's no point for that.
I think once you get to that place in your life, you're just kind of like ready for it. Like you don't really think about it anymore. Like you make the best out of that situation.
Yeah, but it never, like in my opinion, like it's not that I'm not afraid to anything anymore. Like every time I have a new project, I always have my like I'm scared of certain
Butterflies.
Es
things.
normal, sí, es normal.
Yeah, and it's healthy as well, because that
Yeah.
I think that pushes you to to do better, and it's good. The moment you don't have that, then there's no point on doing things.
Yeah, I
Just
guess
as
you're
you
like
said,
adrenaline
it cannot
going.
stop you. Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, and it's a journey that hasn't finished for me, or for the things that I want to do. And it also hasn't been like a straight line. It has ups and downs, and I've learned a lot from my fucked ups as well.
Sí, sí. See, no, yes, and that's entrepreneurship for everyone that's listening to us right now. You probably are an entrepreneur, or maybe you're thinking of doing something new. Aquí Zair nos está contando how it's been for her. She's a professional actress, and she decided to go for it. And well, now you're listening to her story. Zair, me gustaría saber de dónde vino la idea del nombre de tu brand of Golden Seiba. And what is your goal with that?
Bueno, Golden Ceiba, la ceiba es un árbol que tenemos en muchos países de Latinoamérica, and it's a tree that like it is like the union between earth and heaven. So and it's a tree that has big branches, and that can shelter a lot of other species. And well, the idea was to create something that was a shelter for Latinos, and that could create union instead of separation, and that's why we came up with that name. And the goal of the company has always been, to highlight Latinos, especially Latinos in the U.S., to show our diversity, because we are different, and we are the biggest minority in the U.S., and we have a voice, but sometimes we don't believe that our voice can make a difference or can make changes.
Yeah.
And I hope everything that we do with our company empowers more Latinos and gives them a little bit of hope that they can do whatever they want, or they dream as well, and that we can open doors and help break those stereotypes that are imposed on us, that we are in the case of the film industry, that we are the narcos, or we are the drug dealers, or we are the immigrant stories. We're more than that. We are diverse, we're rich, we're fun, we're hardworking people, and we're successful as well. We are, we can be portrayed in any arena. And that's what we want to show in our productions, that the Latinos are successful, and that Latinos mingle with important people, and they are part of us. They are helping build this society, and that's what we want to show, and that's the goal of our company.
Love it.
Love it.
I love
feel
that.
I feel like you showed a lot of that in your series, like in the flowers. I feel like you showed a lot of that, so I think it's an awesome.
Let's talk about that. Let's talk about the flowers, because you're probably wondering, like, they're just talking about the flowers y no dice nada. Así es que ya, ahí va la información, y ahí va de dónde vino the flowers. So go ahead, Zair, and let us know, what is that show? What are those series about?
Well, The Flowers is a comedy. It's a 5 episodes comedy that's available now on Amazon Prime, and it's the story of these, artists that are a little bit crazy, and they fly to this international art fair, the most important one in the continent. It's happening in Playa del Carmen, Mexico, and they fly there to exhibit their paintings and to win an exclusive contract with one of the most important art galleries in the world, which in New York mainly. So these guys arrive here, arrive there, and everything is getting ready for the event. They are prepping, and suddenly an anonymous flowers bouquet arrives, and then everything's collapsed. So,
Yeah.
so a series of misunderstandings, happened with the flowers, and that those misunderstandings end up affecting every single artist in the art fair. So they have to overcome those obstacles to still, make it happen. And you have artists from the United States, but you also have a lot of artists from Latin America. And well, the show portrays a little bit like how silly misunderstandings can trigger, you know, consequences, and how this is like a snowball that can affect personal relationships and professional relationships.
Yeah.
So that's the story about, and it has a lot of color. It's sexy, in my opinion. It's fun, and yeah, it's hilarious, and it's like a lot of misunderstandings that only gets and gets.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yes, I'm honestly waiting for season 2, guys, because I've already finished the whole series.
Yeah.
Yeah, aquí estoy
Yeah.
esperando.
Yeah, we're working on that. We're developing season 2. It's gonna come with a lot of. We're gonna see a little bit more about what's going on behind the world of art, like from the perspective not only of the artists, but also like dealers, like the business and all that. So I'm really excited because it's also, I think it's a subject that you don't see quite like developed in stories like the world of art.
Yeah.
So I think it's gonna. I mean, what I love about first season is that you can binge, and it's really fast. It goes fast, so it's only 5 episodes, and well, we're gonna make season 2 a little bit longer.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yes. You are the writer of The Flowers, correct?
Yeah.
Where did that idea come from? Was it from somebody that gave you flowers, or how did you come up with that story?
Well, two things happened at the same time. I was in the process of writing something. I wanted to write a short play. And in that moment, I was very involved in the world of arts because I had a friend who was exhibiting. He's a painter from Mexico, and he was exhibiting in New York at the time. And because he's from Mexico, I was, with him all the time because he couldn't get to any address by himself. His English is not the best one, so I was with him all the time. And I got to see a world that I didn't know before because I've only been there like as an audience, as somebody who enjoys art and visits a museum or a gallery, but that's it. But with him, I was able to understand a little bit more about what's going on behind that world. So that happens. I had in mind to write a story about misunderstandings, about how something as small or something silly can trigger so many like ugly things, or can just take you to raise stakes in your life and take you to next level of, either you get involved with somebody else or you just break up with that relationship. So I wanted to write about it, and then I found in New York in the streets a flowers bouquet that it was left there, and it was like it was new. It was like somebody bought it that day. So and I saw it like in the streets in a park nearby my house, and I took it. It was left there. I took it. I brought it home, and I told my boyfriend. He wasn't at home, and I told him, so I found this flowers bouquet, and this is super nice. Like, I was like, it was meant for me, the universe gave it to me.
Oigan, y nada que se lo dejaron ahí a Zair.
Exacto. And I was into this, and he was like, you should have not grabbed those flowers. I'm like, why not?
Oh my God.
And he's like, they are not for you. They belong to somebody else. And I'm like, no, they belong to me because I found them. So somebody left it there. Yeah. And he's like, no, don't do that. You don't know if you get into trouble because you're taking something that is not yours. It was in the streets. So we were having this silly conversation. Yeah. And then I said, right, like something as silly as this can trigger, like, and then if you add jealousy to that, then it's like you go flowers, and that was the frame of the flowers, the short play that I wrote, because I first wrote the short play. So that I had the flowers, I had the misunderstandings, and between in the relationships. And then I was involved in this world of art. So I said, I'm going to place all this in the world of, arts and painters. And that's how the short play was born.
That's awesome.
I love that. From just that moment that you picked up those flowers.
It created something like this.
Yeah. Y todo empieza con una idea, ¿no? Todo igual como los negocios. Everything starts with an idea. And you just have to believe in yourself and your idea, and then have a vision, right? Have that vision clear. Yo creo que es súper importante tener una visión antes de empezar algo. Es mejor tener esa visión and see yourself there, like, this is what I want, and this is how I want to do it, and this is how I see myself. And I feel that that's something that you probably did, Zair. You had a vision, because like those flowers, right? You saw that, y de ahí, órale, a escribir todo, ¿no? Sí. And now it's this amazing show that I honestly love, because it is Spanglish. There's English, there's Spanish, and for me, you guys know Insightfulbabes is all about Spanglish, English, and Spanish. So when we met Zair, and she mentioned all about her show, I was like, what? Like, is this for reals? I love how they're trying to, implement all of that into the whole Latino community, as well as the films. And, I honestly, I love what you're doing, and I can't wait for the season 2 of The Flowers. Pero bueno, vamos a hablar un poquito, y esto ya sería lo último. O quién sabe, a lo mejor nos vamos 2 horas más. No se crean. I want to go ahead and talk a little bit about comfort zones, because I feel that for us Latinas, it's a little more complicated, because we have, the whole traditional beliefs, and not only in Mexico, like all of Latin America, we go through traditional beliefs. El que dirán, el que la mujer no debe de hacer eso, la mujer a tal edad tiene que ya casarse y hacer, ¿verdad?, tener su familia. So whenever it comes to dreams, it's sometimes not all the families agree. So did you ever, bump into something like that?
Well, my mom's still waiting for me to call her, like, one of these days and say, Mom, I'm pregnant. Like, that's like,
Oh,
She is waiting for that, and this
yeah.
is like, but this is not new. This is happening like since I turned 22 or something like that. So
Oh my
Yo
gosh.
creo que
for a
todas,
while.
¿no? Todas.
Sí, también.
So that's been yeah, that's the way we are, especially like, you know, for somebody like my mom, like she's not living in the States, so it's even more like traditional in that sense.
Oh yeah.
That she's like I can tell her like about all these series that I'm making, and she's like, oh, that's great, and where are my grandchildren?
Yeah.
So it's always like that. But well, going to more like important things. uh, that what you pointed out is very important, because we are very, very attached to el que dirán, cómo reciben lo que estoy haciendo, si voy a hacer el ridículo, if I'm looking like a clown or not, and that stops us. And I totally understand. I've been through this so many times, especially like me as an actress. You have it like, I think you have it worse, because people is already looking at you without even knowing you. So it's not only like people who knows you, but people who does not know you. They just, I mean, you are too into the noise, and sometimes you pay a lot of attention to that. And I think it's a constant fight, and also it's being worse now that we have social media, because social media could be very positive and helpful, but it can also be negative, and it can be a nightmare. So yeah, it's something. I don't have a straight answer to how to deal with that, but I can say that we all go through it. And even when you see successful people like talking about themselves in social media, they also feel it, and they have also gone through that, through those moments of, you know, insecurities, and what are they people thinking about me, and all that. And I think, I mean, we cannot just base our life or stop our life for external comments, because people will always have an opinion on you, and people will always disagree with you.
Yeah.
And it's not even like, people will always judge you, because we are judgmental human beings. Like, we as human beings are judgmental by nature. So that will always happen, whether you do something or whether you don't do it. So, and I'm going to give you an example. I know for a fact that when I post in my social media pictures promoting my show, which I'm very proud of, I'm going to get less likes if I post a picture of me in a bikini at the beach. I know that for a fact. And sometimes you're so judgmental that you say, well, no, I have to post a picture in the beach because that's the one that's getting more likes. And then sometimes you're saying, like, I'm not going to post my show that often, because then people is not going to like it that much. So I'm turning that around here. And I know people, because I'm also somebody who watches, you know, and consumes social media. I know when you put like you're promoting yourself or your show or your product a lot, you know, people disengages. I know that for a fact. But I decided that if I'm gonna send a message and I want to show like people that I did this show and that it's on Amazon and I wanted to see it, I don't care if that post has less likes than some other post that I could be doing, because I believe in this. And if I don't support this, no one else will do it. And I know that I'm talking to 300 people instead of 2,000 people, but those 300 people are also important and are supporting me or are liking what I'm saying. So it's not, so my process of thinking is like, okay, I have 300 people here and I'm gonna be happy because 300 people are responding to something.
Yeah.
Some others will respond to some other post and that's fine. I'm not gonna feel bad because only 300 people like a post of my show. I'm gonna feel excited because 300 people are responding and maybe 10 out of them are gonna go to Amazon and watch the show. And maybe one is gonna comment and gonna say, I like this and I felt identified with it. And I'm gonna be, happy and grateful for that. So, and I'm saying all this is just for your audience and the girls that are watching and hearing, to realize that, we all go through it. We all think about el que dirán. We all have fears. We listen to noise. Remember that, yes, but just as you said before, be focused on what you want, and that's all that matters. Your intuition is going to show you the way, but don't get paralyzed. Do something, because people is going to talk whether you do it or not. And sometimes be aware that the people that loves you the more are the ones who are going to be telling you, are the ones that are going to be the naysayer, because they love you and they don't want to see you suffering. And there is a point where you have to, I appreciate your advice, but I'm following my guts and I'm going to do it. And worst thing that can happen is that I just failed. I'll learn from that and I move on.
Super cierto. Super cierto. I agree with that. I agree with all of that. And it is true. Like, we all struggle with that. I know that I still do. A lot of people don't believe in podcasts, and when we decided to build this community and this brand, and it's for Latinas, and, it's very, ¿cómo se dice? It's very, like, uncommon for our community to tune into certain podcasts. Casi no se escucha de eso, pero, when we started this, I was like, okay, a lot of my family members don't believe, but, I'm going to go for it. And next thing you know, it's like our podcast grew out of nowhere, and now we have people listening from all over the world. So, hay veces en que lo tienes que hacer con miedo, but take that step, and that is so important. Zair has been a great example of that. We can see that, she had this idea of writing this play. Next thing you know, it's already on Amazon Prime, and it's an incredible show that, you guys should really, really watch it and share it with people, because it is an incredible show. Zair, ¿tienes algún dicho or a quote that you live by or that you really love?
Yo creo que tengo varias.
Okay.
Yeah, I like a lot. El tiempo de Dios es perfecto.
Sí.
I like that one a lot. Because it is. I mean, sometimes we want things to happen the way we want and at the time we want, and it's not always like that. Even when you have your vision clear, sometimes you have to take one route to get to the other one, and sometimes it's just like, this is, the way you go, instead of going in a right direction. And you have to, I think you have to be, you have to work hard, but you have to be patient, and you have to trust the process, and you have to trust the universe. And I think, that would be the other one, like, trust the universe and trust that everything is going to be all right. No matter what, everything is going to be all right. And does not mean that you don't get sick, that you don't just have issues, that you don't fail. But at the end of the day, everything is going to be all right. what's meant to be for you, it's for you, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. Beautiful.
Yes. One advice that you would give to all of those dreamers out there who are maybe thinking about going into, acting or producing or maybe even writing plays, what is one advice that you would give them?
Don't give up. Work hard and be willing to take all the risks that you can. Be willing to learn. Sometimes, like especially when you're starting, you have to be willing to do things, to put in a lot of work with sometimes or most of the times no payment for that or reward, but that will help you a lot. That will take you to the next level, and yeah, be willing to learn a lot, to do as many things as you can, and that are in tandem to your dream, and yeah, and work hard, and don't let anybody tell you that you can do something, or that you're not a good fit for something, or that this idea is too super crazy and impossible. No, go for it.
Mm-hmm. Sí, bueno, pues thank you so much. Where can our listeners connect with you? Are you on social media? And where can our listeners also watch your show? Is there any other mainstream or page that they can go ahead and learn more about your show and your production team?
Well, toward at the end of the year, we're going to have the show also in iTunes and other platforms, but right now it's only on Amazon Prime. We have a social media that's focused on the flowers mainly, and it's called GC Flicks, which is like Golden Saba Flicks at GC Flicks. That's the Instagram account where we update everything about the show. And my Instagram account is at Zair Montes, and I post a lot of things about the flowers, and I'll keep everybody updated on new platforms and new releases, second season, and all that. So.
Yay!
Awesome. Pues ahí lo tienen. You guys can connect with Zair. We'll make sure to also mention that in our description for this episode. And Zair, thank you so much for all of these new opportunities that you're creating for our Latino community and for everybody out there who's got a dream. We can honestly see your passion towards this project of yours, and I'm honestly super pumped just to see you, just to see that passion. Me encanta ver la pasión en otras personas cuando, they love what they do and you can actually see it and feel it somehow. But I really hope...
I feel the same with you guys, and I have to say that the work that you're doing is amazing.
Thank you.
I'm so glad, so happy to have connected with you, and I appreciate you, and what you're doing is humongous, and you might not see like the magnitude of your show and your podcast, but it's beautiful, and you have to keep on doing this work because it's amazing.
Thank you.
Zair.
Ya estamos chillando aquí.
Ya
estamos
llorando.
No, son las alergias. Thank you so much, Zair, for those words. Sí, ya viene ya el winter. No, muchas gracias. We're here to support you all the way, and well, let's keep being a voice and let's keep making new opportunities for everyone and supporting everyone, y'all. So make sure to stay tuned for more episodes, and thank you again, Zair.
Gracias a ustedes.
Thank you for tuning in to our Insightful Babes podcast. Make sure to stay tuned for more of our special guest episodes, Chisme Time episodes, and more.